All right, you guys, so what we're going to do today is we're going to dive deeper into the healer wound, what we call a healer wound. Some people call it a wounded mother syndrome, a savior wound. It's something that we talk about quite a lot here on my channel. It comes out in collective readings, and it was also part of my shadow work playbook. If you purchased it, you would know. But today I want to dive a little bit deeper, giving you some examples if that is something that you are currently addressing. I don't want to say it's something that you carry, because you know my opinion, we all carry core wounds to a certain extent until we actually compress inwards to heal deeply. Every person to a certain extent carries all the core wounds, and the healer wound being one of them. So I want to give you in the beginning a brief explanation what it is, and then we're going to break down what is actually causing people not to understand it, not to be able to compress and properly heal that wound. So what is really that wounded mother? It's just a feminine, it's feminine archetype, but obviously anyone, it's just energy, anyone can carry that wound, men, souls in male vessels as well. Healer wound is basically a wound that makes you in an unhealthy way to attach to someone who is going through something difficult. So when you see someone suffer, for most people it will be someone who you actually love and deeply care about, but for many people it will be anyone, right? Whether that's an individual or collective, given what's going on in the world or in your environment. When you see someone suffer, two things happen that are actually a healthy mechanism. One thing is that you suffer as well, and we will explain in a moment why is that not a healthy mechanism sign. So you see someone suffer, you suffer as well. That's a healer wound. You see someone suffer, you immediately want to fix their life, their problems, their situation. That is as well a healer wound. Now, the reason people follow, obviously it's because they carry their wound, but as I mentioned, there are three things that we need to address here in order for you to understand that wound better and build the capacity to heal from that wound and integrate that shadow. So those three things are misconception of empathy, misconception of love, and misconception of what it really means to heal/help. Because when we talk about healing, it's not just healing in this traditional understanding of a healer like myself, who's a medium, who's a shadow worker, but everyone is actually a healer. We're all beings of light and love, right? And living this human experience. But when we talk about, sorry, it annoys me that it's here. When we talk about healing, we mean helping, right? So the wound is called the healer wound. That's how we call it. But we actually mean helping someone in distress, saving someone, savior wound, some people call it as well. So misconception of empathy, misconception of love, misconception of helping. So let's break those three down. Starting from empathy. Why do we misunderstand empathy? And if you watch me, you would probably already know, because it's something that I touch on a lot, because most people walk around calling themselves empaths and saying that they're empaths. And in reality, all they are is people who carry a healer wound, because they don't really understand what empathy means. So people think that empathy is this thing that when you see someone suffer, you suffer with them. And it is nothing farther from the truth. True empath, every actual spiritual healer, awakened healer, and a channel would be an empath. And many people are empaths because as human beings, we hold a natural capacity to empathy. However, there's a misconception, again, of empathy and the healer wound. So most people think that I see something, they're suffering, someone is crying, someone is heartbroken, someone is in distress, someone lost their job. I suffer with them because I am an empath. That is not true. Empathy, when it's healthy, when it's a quality of a person who is centered, who is balanced, who is healed, who've integrated their shadows. Sorry, empathy actually means that you are able to read someone's emotion, feel into their emotion in the moment. So the moment you stand in front of this person, you literally feel what they feel, even if they go through something that you've never experienced, because emotions are vibration, they're frequency. You don't have to experience the exact same situation that someone went through in order to understand what they are going through, right? So your body, you literally in your body feel the same emotion. But true empaths, healed empaths, they let that go. So the best analogy I can give you is that empathy is like reading a book, reading a novel. I am an empath, thus I have the capacity to grab this book and read this book and understand this book. But I also know that I'm not the story within this book. Right? So this is maybe a drastic comparison, but this is the empathy and this is the healer wound. So true empaths grab the book, they read the book, they feel into the emotions of the characters as they read it, but then they close the book and they understand, this is not me, this is not my story. I put this book away and I just forget about it. Whether the people who carry the healer wound, they read the book and they actually think that they're the characters, which is something that we would have to be a deeply disordered if we actually talk about reading a book to think. So I really want you to feel into it. If that emotion stays with you, when you're no longer in presence of this person, when you go back home and you think about this, you suffer with them, you feel that this is empathy, it's not empathy. If it stays with you, it's yours. It is yours, right? Because if it's not your emotion, we cannot feel for a prolonged period of time someone else's emotion. It is impossible. It can trigger something within us that we have not healed. It can trigger something that we carry within us because it exists within us, but thus it is yours. So if you suffer permanently because another person suffers, whoever they are for you, you cannot sleep, you cannot go on, you constantly think about them, and you say to yourself that this is because you're an empath. No, you have a healer wound. This is your own emotion that you are projecting. Now the next misconception is love. And it sounds like something, how could we not understand love? But you would be surprised how many people don't actually understand love. Love is frequency. Loving somebody, truly loving somebody, and we'll talk about couple of things that influence the capacity to love in a moment. But truly loving somebody is, and we talk when we talk about divine love, we talk about this as well, but this actually applies to anyone, whether it's your parent, whether it's your child, whether it's your partner, whether it's your best friend, your sibling. Loving somebody in a real raw way, so the true frequency of love, not distorted love that is sprinkled with projections of your own wounds, but pure love, is giving this person freedom, is acknowledging their sovereignty, is admiring them as a person and having faith in them, having trust in them, having belief that I love you, you are strong, you can do this, you have your own journey, right? This is why we say when you love somebody, you set them free. And this is not just for romantic love. This is for parental love. This is for friend love, family kind of, whatever love it is. If you really love somebody, you allow them to live their life. You don't have to control them. You don't have to force them into certain things, fix their life for them, because this is a distortion within your energy that pushes you into control another person. True love equals freedom. Always. And if you are forced into doing something for this person, yet again, you call it love, you call it empathy, but you are projecting your own unprocessed gunk that lives inside of you. So love is love. Okay? Love is love, the rest is a story. Love is frequency, the rest is a story. What does it mean? Love is love. It means that when you love somebody, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't influence whether someone is your soulmate, your partner, your child. It doesn't really shape the strength of love. It is the conditioning and the story that us humans, we love stories. We love saying that I love this person more than anyone could ever understand because they're my soulmate. Or I love this person more because they are my son or they're my daughter. Love is love. Love is love. It is frequency. The rest is a story, right? And another thing is that all love starts from self. The rest is projection, which is a cliche saying, but it's true that you can only love somebody to the capacity as you love yourself. So when people love somebody, let's say, because it's usually most popular case, it's either romantical love or it's love that people feel towards their children. They worry, they obsess, they think that they need to help them, that they need to direct their life, and they say to themselves that this is because I'm a wife, this is because I'm a mother. It's just a story. Love is love. You can only love someone to the capacity that you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, all that feeling is a projection, right? And obviously it doesn't mean that you feel that love. And again, love is love. How you feel it, you feel it. You feel that you love this person, but you cannot actually allow them to feel loved, because loving somebody and making them feel truly loved with the right frequency of love are two different things. If you don't love yourself fully, you don't understand frequency of love. And if you don't understand frequency of love, you may feel that you're giving this person love, but what you're actually giving them is the projection of your own wounds. So they will not feel loved. They will hear that you love them. You will be constantly around them, but they will not feel love, because true love empowers you. True love gives you strength. True love gives you freedom. True love makes you feel that someone believes in me. Someone makes me, it's like just they enter the room and they lift you up immediately. That is the power of love, right? So I want to explain to you guys so you understand what do we mean as well that love starts from self, the rest is a projection. Unfortunately, when you, and I'm going to give you one specific example, and many people won't like that, especially if you have children and if you struggle with that healer wound with your children. But many people, it goes back to what I told you, that they want to fix a situation, right? And we will talk about this more when we talk about the misconception of what healing actually is. But if you are forcing your advice, your opinion, your help, your presence onto someone that you feel that they are suffering and they go through something and you want to prevent this from happening, in most cases, it is because you yourself went through that same thing and you want to prevent them from going through the same pain. Which you would think, well, it's a logical thing, right? If I went through this and I suffered through this, I don't want them to go through the same. But if you think about this, all that it means is that you haven't actually learned your lessons from that experience. Because if you go from a heartbreak and you actually emerge on the other side as a better person, you've healed that heartbreak, you understand that heartbreak, you understand that karmic experience that happened and entered your life, and it's given you an opportunity to become a better person. Why would you want to deprive someone you love of the same opportunity? There's only one reason: because you did not learn your lesson. You did not emerge as a better person. You still hold on to that pain. You still hold on to that experience. So you don't want this thing to happen to another person, but who knows? Maybe they're going to be stronger than you. Maybe they will actually emerge as a better person. Maybe they will conquer it. It's just this obsession of people that when something negative happens, and again, it's negative. Life is neutral. Things just happen. No one ever learned the depths and the wisdom of life only living a cheerful, joyful, happy life. True meaning of life resides in challenges, resides in pain. So the only reason that you want to take that away from someone, it's not love. It's your own fear. It's a projection of the wounds that you've never healed, that you've never properly processed. The karmic experiences that never actually turned you into a better person, right? It may be brutal to some to hear, but that is the truth. Now, the final thing that I want to address is the misconception of helping, healing. What does it actually mean to help someone and to heal someone on that healthy frequency, not distorted frequency? So helping somebody really doesn't mean living their life, fixing something for them, taking away their pain. It means holding space for them. Space of wisdom, space of strength, space of trust, space of faith within them, space of experience to help them walk through this. Helping someone and really being that healer for this person is not putting a blindfold over their eyes, fixing everything and living it for them. You have no right to live someone's life and take away their experiences that are in fact beautiful, but you don't recognize it because you weren't strong enough to acknowledge them as beautiful to grow through your pain. You have no right to take away someone's experience. What you can do and what you should do if you want to be the healer, if you want to be the helper, is to hold that space. But now the issue here is that our capacity to hold space for someone is a direct correlation with the state of our inner world. If us ourselves, we're rooted in fear, we're rooted in worry, we're rooted in weakness, we're rooted in lack of understanding why things are happening to us, why I went through this pain and now the person I love has to go through the same, you will not help them. You will only add to their misery. To really hold space for someone, if you really ever want to help anyone, whether because you feel like you want to be a healer for this world, or whether because you have your children and you want to help them and hold that space, or a partner, heal yourself. You have to hold the frequency of love, strength, safety, stability, wisdom, to ever be able to help another person. Because if that does not happen, all you're going to do is add to that. And that is the syndrome of wounded mother. And I can share from my own experience, because this is something that I went through myself, and this is something that I see in so many people around me happening. Mothers that are distorted, right? So they are in their distorted feminine energy of powerlessness, of worry, of weakness, of being a doormat, of lacking self-love, lacking self-worth, lacking this wisdom of the feminine around the meaning of life. They see their child suffering and they want to help. They think that they're helping, but they bring in the energy that is distorted, the energy of worry, the energy of concern, the energy of stress, the energy of, oh my God, what's going to happen? And you're actually adding to the suffering of that child. Because I myself, I can tell you right now, I was that child. So not only you go through your own problems, but now you have to additionally worry that someone who loves you cannot sleep at night because they worry about you. What kind of help is that? Explain to me, what kind of help is that? It's literally the analogy that I always give to you guys of the mask on the plane. You feel like you want to help someone, so you're going to put that mask on them first, but you're not actually helping them. If you cannot help yourself, how can you ever help another human being? If you cannot heal yourself, if you cannot face your own shadows, if you cannot show up with love and strength for yourself, how can you ever do this for another human being? Explain to me. It is impossible. Because I say this to you guys as a mantra. We do not teach, heal, transfer love, whatever, through words that we speak, but through energy. If you do not embody something, if you do not embody strength, if you do not embody wisdom, if you do not embody deep knowledge that things are happening, you go through pain, but it's going to be good, you're going to emerge from this better on the other side, you cannot ever teach this to. And being in a room with them will actually add to their misery. And I know that it may be hard to hear for some, because maybe right now you're going through a moment when your partner is suffering, your child is suffering, someone you love is suffering, and you want to help them. I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing you can do to ever be able to help them is to help yourself first. No one ever in the history of worlds and the entire universes, okay, helped someone and taught someone something that they themselves don't know. It is literally impossible. We talked about this yesterday when I explained to you guys the difference about knowing and actually embodying, right? So it's a huge difference. And it's something that, again, it's physically impossible. If you yourself don't understand empathy, if you yourself are not in control of your emotions, if you yourself don't embody the frequency of love that we start to embody through self-love always, if you do not carry the frequency of a healer, which means that you started from healing yourself, no matter how beautiful your intention is, how much you want to show up for someone, how much you want to be there for them, fix their life, help them, you will not help them. All you can do is direct them to a person that actually can and have the capacity to help them, and then remove yourself from their life. Because as brutal as it sounds, we are energetic beings. So when you are in presence of someone who is suffering, especially that some people that are empaths, that are sensitive, they are more sensitive to feeling subconsciously the energy of others. They will sense your fear. They will sense your worry. So you won't help them. You will only make it worse. I hope this was helpful. As hard as it was to hear, maybe for some, but I hope it will give you the capacity and the courage to focus on self. Everything starts from self, just as I said. Healer wound is a wound that we all carry, like I said, to a certain extent. If you feel guided to work on that wound, if you resonate with my energy, you can sign up for a session. Link is in my bio. If you already have a healer, you can address that with your healer. My advice, and I've mentioned this to you guys in my shadow work playbook, that touches on all the core wounds, is that there are some wounds, the healer wound, the injustice wound, the sister wound, the witch wound, that my recommendation is always to address later on your journey, because they will very much be dependent, or the core wounds of all human beings, which is rejection wound, abandonment wound, worthiness wound, betrayal wound. If you don't address all these, it's all linked and it's all interconnected. It's going to be difficult to start from a healer wound, but if you deeply resonated with my message, whether you work with me or you work with a different healer, you can always start from that wound, saying that I really resonate with those moments when my biggest suffering comes from suffering of others. And I'm now understanding that it's really my suffering. You cannot feel permanently someone else's suffering. You cannot. It is physically impossible, no matter how much you love them. If you've healed yourself, all you can give to them is love and strength.